Next up, we have our local brewer, that's a word I cannot say, and co-founder of Boundary, Matthew.
Okay. Is this starting its own or? Oh, sweet, so I can just take as long as I want on the first slide, that's good. Okay, so I was out walking my dog, and the dog's dead now, which is shit, and a terrible way to start any story. But I was out walking my dog, and there's not even a timer on this. Everything about Boundary came to me at once, which is fucking convenient. So everything about the branding, my notes just went off. The size of beers we would do, the size of bottle we'd put the beer into, the tone of voice online, the market we'd sell into, the artwork. My friend's an artist. I always thought we'd get hipster pretentious points for having his artwork on our bottles. And I also had this sense, time it stood still and everything kind of came to me, which was great, but I had the sense that, as most of you in this room probably know, doing anything new or different or even just well in Northern Ireland is really fucking difficult. Because we're very good at looking outside the windows at each other for inspiration and just copying what's already been done. That's why there's so much pulled pork in the world. And but I had this idea that the Boundary needed to be shared and we needed to have some sort of momentum and community around it from the start, and I didn't really know anything other than that. And then I met my co-founder Matt, who's a cooperative head, and as he explained to me what a cooperative was, because I didn't know how to spell it, never mind what it was, I realised he was putting language to what I wanted Boundary to be. So we started work on this idea of a cooperative brewery. We worked on the premise of one member, one vote. So didn't matter how much you invested, you got one vote. You get the vote for the profit sharing if we ever get there. You get the vote for the board of directors, kind of the big picture stuff. So November 14, I quit my job. December 14, we opened first share offering. The 6th of December 14, I got to write this blog post, which was us asking or explaining why we needed more money. We got 90 grand in 8 days, which was really quite obnoxious. Then a year later, we'd had a good first year, good demand. We looked into scale and we needed serious capital investment to do that. So we opened membership again at Christmas when loads of people have so much money. And we did a second raise. We raised 160 grand in a couple of weeks, which was just as obnoxious. And so things are going well. We've been trading for about 20 months. We've even had the odd profitable month, which is just weird. We've got 1,100 members who own it as much as I do. We raised £250,000. I had no background in anything. I was studying and teaching in theology at Queen's. We're debt-free, we're winning meaningful awards, we're getting invited to some of the best beer fests in the world. We've beer in 6 different countries, we're beer in the USA early next year. We're in talks with 5 more countries. After this, I go get on a plane to go brew in Belgium with one of the best sour producers in the world. And yet, there's this thing called death by paper cuts. We're growing, things are going really well. We're looking to hire at the start of the year, which, thank fuck. Over Christmas we installed a new brew house. It's 6 times the size, and there's a million things going really, really well. It's beyond my wildest dreams, and yet there's this thing called death by paper cuts. I've been unable to find any trace of Matthew Dick working anywhere in the brewing industry except for a couple of weeks at Hilton Brewery in Lisburn. My understanding is that this was a kind of work experience set up. I'm also unable to find any evidence of him holding any relevant qualifications such as a degree or diploma related to brewing, or indeed a science degree, blah, 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 blah. I call those chocolate-covered turds. That was an email we received in the first raise under the pretense of a guy representing an investor with lots of money. I don't think he knew what a cooperative was. He was also from another brewery in Northern Ireland, and he didn't know that I knew that, which is all kinds of awkward. Or it's like the email we just got from a member of the cooperative. Dear board, I've want the best for us, blah, 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 and then just goes into a personal tirade on Matthew Dick. Or you just get the turds, like the Twitter trolls. The phone call from the police I got last week because someone's complained that we're stealing customers with our taproom. We have a weekly taproom, 4 to 11, Friday and Saturdays. If you could all come and fill it, that would give us great leverage. Apparently stealing customers is illegal. Or the time we did a beer fest 2 years ago, 1,500 people came. We had the best beers, best breweries in the world represented. People literally came to pour their beers from the breweries in Northern Ireland in Belfast. It was the weekend I found out my second son was coming. We had our first AGM, and this one guy said one thing to me, sent me into months of depression, big counselling bill, death by paper cuts. And over time, if you let them, these little things that can kill you. Even in the middle of things going really well, especially actually as I find if things are going well. And what I then tend to do is I start to hold back. People don't deserve my best if this is what's going to happen. I'm really insecure, which doesn't help this whole mismatch of stuff. Or I start to make lists about people, or what I actually do is start to demonize people and assume the worst. Or in my darkest days, I start to plan revenge. I have a book that's black. I don't have a book. And what I want to encourage us tonight is don't die from paper cuts. That's so fucking boring. There's definitely better ways to die than dying from paper cuts. And what I'm starting to learn is that actually the opposite is much better. So the things I'm trying to do is to assume the best out of people. That's very difficult for me. And to learn the art of the second chance and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth chance. And being married and having kids helps that, but it's easier to do it with people that you love rather than with assholes. And the balance that assuming the best, and the balance, the art of the second chance with really robust relational boundaries with people, I think to do them both well is very brave. And bravest thing I think of all for me to do and for us to do is to forgive the dicks, forgive the assholes. And I think that takes a tremendous amount of courage and a tremendous amount of bravery. So I wanted to encourage us tonight to assume the best, to learn the art of the second chance, to be brave and to forgive, to keep going, and don't fucking die from paper cuts.